Welcome to Abstract Audio, the podcast presenting life as an abstract art form. The show that encourages you to perceive beyond the tangible, to extract the infinite from the finite, to see with the mind what you cannot physically see with the eyes. Oh, it's an emancipation. It's an exploration into areas usually overlooked. Explore with me on today's episode. Hey, what's the word, boys and girls? This is Amber Janae, and you found yourself on yet another episode of Abstract Audio. Now, how you got here is a different story, but nonetheless, I'm glad you found your way. And I'm also glad you set aside some time for this out of your busy work week. I know it's only 15 minutes or so, but that's no small feat. You know, jobs are always talking about work-life balance nowadays, as if they really give a shit what goes on outside the ironclad walls of their soulless company. They don't. Yep, unfortunately, the only balance that matters to them is their bottom line. That's America for you. Camp capitalism. But here on Abstract Audio, we know balance is much more than what lines your pockets or pads your bank accounts. Balance is an essential part of our reality, and it's also our topic for today. Last episode, we dabbled in the idea of karma. Well, I suppose dabbled isn't the right word. We downright analyzed that shit. I mean, we put it under a microscope, we put the black light on it, and we came to the conclusion that energy always manages to balance itself somehow, right? As Newton asserts, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. That's elementary, my dear listeners. And if something so basic can apply to one of the most notable and widely recognized theories in the world, who's to say where that influence stops? I mean, if literally everything we do has some consequence, some reaction, are we essentially responsible for ensuring those effects bode well on the universe as a whole? Or is it better to let the universe just handle it? Of course, karma only takes our initial intentions into account. So, to that regard, we should be even. But what about afterward? Take, for instance, that saying, you know the one about the butterfly wings. Oh, yeah, the butterfly effect, as it's so aptly called. Basically, it's the idea that something small, like say a butterfly flapping its wings, can have much larger effects, such as causing a typhoon somewhere else in the world or something. Or getting a coffee at like a different shop than usual can change the course of your entire career, that kind of thing. The butterfly effect rests on the notion that the world is deeply interconnected, such that one small occurrence can influence a much larger, complex system. To me, complex is an understatement when it comes to the way the world operates, but it does beg the question, what exactly is balance, and what role do we really play in keeping it? By definition, balance is a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions, or the stability of one's minds or feelings, harmony of design and proportion. Now, if you guys know me, you know that I believe there's no right or wrong way to live your life necessarily, meaning there's not really any correct proportions per se, but positive and negative energies. Now, those are what we're constantly working with, day in and day out. Some call it the circle of life, as we've touched on a few times before on the show. Regardless, that constant give and take that's evident in every living thing around us, that balance, is just as prevalent within ourselves. Like, you ever heard of chakras? Yeah, your chakras. It refers to the energy centers in your body, right? These wheels of spinning energy each correspond to certain nerve bundles and major organs. To function at your best, your chakras need to stay open, aligned, or balanced. If they get blocked, you may experience physical or emotional symptoms related to that particular chakra. Even if you don't consider yourself a particularly spiritual person, you must acknowledge what a large part balance plays in our personal development as humans. Like, to take your first few steps, you need balance. To ride a bike, balance. To maintain a healthy relationship with another person, balance. Although personally, I think that 50-50 debate is often taken completely out of context. But that's neither here nor there. Actually, fuck that. It's here now, so let's talk about it. Similar to the large corporations that run our world, a lot of people nowadays assume the 50-50 model mainly applies to money, right? Finances. When in reality, that balance refers to the work required to maintain a healthy and happy relationship. It's the effort, the energy that makes something move and grow. Now, that's not to say that finding that balance is easy. Far from it, my friend. Just ask any mother, single or otherwise. Shit don't come easy. Balancing kids, a husband, or baby daddy, I don't judge. A job, the bills, the household, a social life, and your mental health is damn near impossible. They actually touch a bit on this in the Barbie movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm not saying spend the outlandish amount of money they charge for a ticket nowadays. But everybody and their mama has a Fire Stick, so check it out when you have a minute. Anyway, with all the pressure that comes with just being alive, all the balls in the air that we as a people have to juggle, how can we possibly achieve true balance? Well, it takes a conscious effort, just like anything else. In Buddhism, and I'm sticking with this theme, not because it's like a superior religion or anything. The entire idea of religion is a flawed model to me. But simply because we're still playing off the idea of karma from last episode, and I want everything to be cohesive. So, in the Buddhist philosophy, they say it's extremely important to balance the body and the mind, to get rid of all the causes that create suffering, and thus achieve what they call a state of nirvana. This balance appears through the conscious embodiment of three basic principles: alignment, relaxation, and resilience. It's said that you can achieve this by doing things like creating and maintaining a schedule for yourself, setting healthy boundaries, meditating, and prioritizing. These changes may seem straightforward and simple enough, but actually implementing them into your daily life is easier said than done. And trust me, I know. Like, my therapist and I were just recently discussing the very human desire to accomplish everything we go after at a pace that tends to be very superhuman. Oftentimes, our issue is not everything that's on our plate. It's that we try to do them all simultaneously. And that leads to the idea that multitasking is the key to balance, when in fact, that couldn't be farther from the truth. True balance, to me, lies in separation, doing each thing at a time, and giving that one thing your full attention in the moment. Living in the moment without letting other tasks, be they in the past or the future, invade your thoughts. That's what makes balance so difficult for us. The feeling of being pulled every which way. But if we learn to separate from those feelings, we won't be so overwhelmed. I've actually found a great example of that separation lies in yin and yang. Hold tight, y'all. We're switching from Indian culture to Chinese culture. Even though there is some crossover, I wouldn't want you guys to get lost. I mean, there is Buddhism in China. I won't get too far into it, but try to stay with me here. So as you may or may not know, yin and yang are concepts from Chinese philosophy that represent the dualistic nature of existence. Yin is associated with qualities like darkness, passivity, and femininity, while yang is associated with qualities like light, activity, and masculinity. These two forces are interconnected and complementary, creating a balanced whole. Separate but whole. Not to be confused with separate but equal, the infamously racist quote spawned from the equally racist decision by the U.S. Supreme Court in Plessy versus Ferguson, circa 1896. The one that allowed the use of segregation laws by states and local governments. Yep, leave it to Americans to fuck up such a beautiful concept. Regardless, some actual non-racist examples of yin and yang can be found all around us, like day and night, winter and summer, joy and sadness, all dynamic and interdependent forces that constantly influence and balance each other out. But the best and most telling or relatable aspect of yin and yang is that they are not fixed states, as we are not fixed beings. We are constantly growing and changing, so naturally our priorities will constantly grow and change with us. And with this change comes more changes, right? I mean, as seasons change, the leaves fall off the trees and so on and so forth. This is the nature of existence. But that fact in itself got me thinking. If everything truly comes to some type of balance in this existence, can those same patterns and relationships be found at multiple levels of reality? If you've never heard the phrase, as above, so below, it is often used in spiritual contexts to express the idea that there is perhaps a correspondence or connection between different levels of existence. It suggests that the structures and dynamics present in one level or realm are possibly mirrored in another level. Trippy, right? For example, as above, so below can be applied to the relationship between a human being and the universe. The experiences and events in a person's life are believed to be connected to the larger cosmic order. At least that's what I choose to believe. This concept suggests that the movements of celestial bodies and the patterns in nature can have parallels or influences on human experiences. Think astrology. And even on a cellular level, the human body is often seen as a small-scale version that reflects the larger scale of the universe. In this view, each part of the body corresponds to a celestial body or a larger aspect of creation. Okay, like if the universe, or God, or whatever you believe, is an ocean, right? And you just scoop out a full cup. That's us. The cup is just our physical being. And even still, we're all interconnected. And even if you don't identify with that metaphor specifically, if you believe in anything, you know that the spiritual realm and the physical world are interconnected as well. The spiritual principles that guide the universe are also reflected in the way events unfold on Earth, i.e. karma, that's balance on an infinite scale. I know as infinite beings trapped in a finite body, the overall idea of balance on any scale can be a difficult one to grasp and come to terms with. But at least we can find comfort in the fact that true balance is something that the universe recognizes naturally. Even in this form, the body's ability to balance is one of nature's most incredible strengths. It's true. There's this system built into our inner ear that detects gravity, movement, and motion. It's these things called otoconia. They send signals to the brain to maintain bodily balance during movement, all on their own. You see, we don't have to do much of anything to achieve balance physically. So what's stopping us from realizing it spiritually, mentally, and otherwise? I mean, other than the insane idea that we should already have it all figured out, or that we're failing miserably, or the unhelpful comparison to the next person's equally unstable shit. Please realize, guys, that we're all connected, so we all go through the same process, the same struggles. No one has it quite figured out. And if you do, come holla at your girl. I need to bring you on the show. So guys, even when those feelings of instability creep up, and they will, just remember who and what you are. We are the universe. Find what works best for you. Find your center. Find your even ground. Find your level. And while you're at it, find your way to our website, theabstractaudioshow.com, and follow us on Instagram at The Abstract Audio Show for a well-balanced flow of consistent content. And until next time, guys, always appreciate the abstract in your life.